Most movies treat depression like a personality trait. They give you the dramatic breakdown or the big, tearful monologue. And while there's nothing wrong with those stories, they aren't the whole truth. Aftersun portrays it in a sad, beautiful, tragic way. Because real depression is often invisible. And the scariest part is, you might not even notice it while it's happening. It's the late 90s. 11-year-old Sophie and her father Kalium are on a budget vacation at a resort in Turkey. They play pool, they go scuba diving, they complain about the heat. It captures that specific fleeting age where you start to realize your parents are actually people, flawed independent beings, rather than just superheroes designed to take care of you. But as the film unfolds, the texture of the image changes. But as we continue to watch the film, we realize we aren't just watching a holiday in real time. We are watching a memory, specifically a recording. This story is framed through the eyes of an adult Sophie, 20 years later. She's sitting in her apartment, rewatching these tapes from that trip. As an adult, Sophie is looking for clues. Searching through the footage like a detective at a crime scene, she's looking for the version of her father that the 11-year-old Sophie missed. Because underneath the cool dad exterior and all of this Turkey experience, something was desperately wrong. This brings us to the core of the film, the massive gap between the image and the reality. On the surface, Colin is the perfect dad. He's young, he's playful, he seems fine. The tragedy of Aftersun comes from the effort of being okay. He isn't just sad, he's under a wave of overwhelming emotions, crushing him inside. He spends the entire film trying to hide this side from his daughter. And think about the karaoke scene. He just seems like a stubborn dad refusing to sing, but in reality, he refuses to get up there not because he's shy, but because he literally does not have the energy to pretend to be happy for 3 minutes in front of a crowd. It's like he physically can't do it. He doesn't have the energy. Usually movies give us a reason, a lost job, a death, a breakup, and Aftersun avoids every cliché. This is the purity of the portrayal. Depression, it isn't always a breakdown. Often, it's just the exhausting effort of trying to seem human. In this film, there are no big arguments, no plot twists, but the tension lives in the things left unsaid. And as I said, there's no backstory. Colin is trying to give Sophie a perfect memory, but he's running on an empty tank. Sometimes it's just a weight you carry, and the harder you try to hide it, the heavier it gets. Because we see everything through Sophie's younger self, we are just as blind as she was back then. She doesn't fully grasp what's happening. She sees her dad being weird or tired, but she's unaware of the abyss he's standing over. This creates a heartbreaking irony. The adult Sophie is now using these memories to reconstruct her father, trying to understand him after the fact. The film put us in her shoes, and we're looking back at the same footage, realizing that the moments we thought were happy were actually cries for help that his father was trying to hide. Now, what I find interesting is that the film visually separates these two worlds using two distinct lenses. First, there's a camcorder, which represents 11-year-old Sophie's perspective, and then there's the film lens, which is the adult Sophie's memory. Sophie is a kid. She's observant, but she's innocent. She asks him why he says, "I love you," like it's a goodbye. But she doesn't understand the answer. We, as the audience, we see the cracks clearly. We see Callum standing on the balcony at night. We see him walking into the dark ocean. Sophie wasn't missing the signs, she just didn't know how to read them yet. What makes this film a lot sadder is that by the time she's old enough to understand her father, he's already a memory. And the truth exists somewhere in between, because memory doesn't give you answers. It gives you fragments, moments that felt complete back then, but feel unfinished when you look back. That's what the rave scenes are. This isn't just an artsy choice. The nightclub is a dull Sophie's subconscious. It's a dark, fractured space where she's trying to grab onto a version of her father that keeps slipping away. In those flashes of strobe light, we see him clearly, not as a dad, but as a man in pain. The dancing, the desperate need to hold on, that it isn't a memory of vacation anymore. It's a daughter trying to pull her father out of the dark 20 years too late. It's an attempt to hold onto someone who was already disappearing. The film mimics memory because memory is flawed. It tells us that we can never truly know our parents. We only know the version of them they allow us to see, the version they use to protect us. We eventually never see an ending for Callum. There is no final note, no big reveal, and this lack of closure is why the ending hits so hard. Whether he stayed or he left, Sophie knew he disappeared the moment that holiday ended. When Callum walks through those airport doors and the camera pans into the strobe lights, the two timelines finally merge. It shows us that grief isn't about having all the answers. Sophie finally lets go of the memory, and we are left with the quietest, purest realization in cinema. You can love someone with everything you have and be important to them, and still not be enough to save them. What are your thoughts on Aftersun? Did it hit you the same way? Let me know in the comments. And if you want more breakdowns like this, there's more on the way. And you can always check out my other videos for more hidden layers of cinema. I'll see you on the next one.